Hi, Kelly again. Minor disclaimer for this week's episode. Mike's recommendation does require the user to be over 18 years old, and consuming it might be illegal in some countries. So there's that.
All right, everyone, and welcome back to Squat Cobbler. We're up to episode 20 now. This is the George Lucas theory of trilogies. I am Mike Belinsky at Official Pagan on just about everything.
And hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter.
Now, before we get into anything here, I just want to let everybody know that off air a second ago, Kelly suggested that something crazy might be about to happen. I have no idea what it is. So I need to throw out a little bit of a disclaimer because as the squatties know, I'm the more conservative of the two of us. So I just want to distance myself from whatever this man has planned right away.
So I think crazy wasn't really what I was going for, but you'll figure it out.
I am definitely concerned here.
It's ill-placed. You're fine, really. Trust me.
As the moral compass of Squat Cobbler.
Yeah, that's exactly what you are.
I need to make sure I throw that disclaimer out up front. So did you want to go first, sir?
Sure, I'll be happy to, because I bet, so for the squatties out there, Mike and I will, when we do recording, try and usually knock off a couple Squat Cobblers together. And as you know, if you listen to the podcast, we've been working our way through the Alice Cooper list of albums. And so usually we'll do an Alice one and a regular Squat Cobbler. So Mike and I recorded just before now the Welcome to My Nightmare one. And I figure since Mike probably hasn't heard me talk about Alice enough, I'd follow up with a recommendation that was Alice Cooper oriented. So that was why I said this will be a surprise. So it's just more not about shocking you. It's more like, wow. So we're going to keep talking about Alice, huh? So yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. I was just concerned. You know, I'm a little bit more conservative leaning,
right.
And I like to kind of keep things clean here.
I hate to break it to you, but I'm fairly certain that the Welcome to My Nightmare podcast will be one of those rare Squat Cobblers that goes out without the necessary explicit tag on it.
Oh, wow. Is it? I didn't even realize it.
I think maybe.
Well, I mean, unless you intend on saying something, this could be two in a row because mine is pretty clean and wholesome. My recommendation this week.
We shall see. But mine is, there have been a number of documentaries on Alice over the time. A recent one, and actually released in 2014, was Super Duper Alice Cooper, which is a documentary. It was actually done a Canadian documentary. So everything's in metrics throughout the entire documentary. 10 strings on guitars, all that kind of stuff. But it is probably the best one I have seen, because in Alice Cooper lore, as you go through their early days with Zappa, to the band, to why the band broke up, to Alice's drinking problem, and then for a while the kind of storyline was Alice had a drinking problem, he dried out, then he relapsed. And this one kind of covers like, well, he didn't exactly relapse into alcoholism. Alice, through an introduction by Elton John's lyricist Bernie Taupin, discovered the joys of cocaine.
Now, I feel like I need, before you even go any further, I feel like I need to interject. Anyone who's listening to this particular episode of Squat Cobbler with their kids, this might be the time that you might want to, do earmuffs or even just send them out of the room. Kelly is talking about some adult content here, and in the interest of keeping this wholesome and family oriented, but at the same time not impeding his artistic freedoms here, I want him to continue to talk about cocaine, which Kelly just said he really enjoys. So Kelly, go ahead.
Okay, I will. But
remember, Kelly loves Coke. That's where we're going with this.
Moral compass. I'm trying to recall you indicated you had a preferred kind of theme to songs. You're a big fan of a certain kind of song as we went through the last one. Do you recall that? Moral compass?
I think it was probably songs about just loving each other and setting up a good support system for your family?
I think there was loving each other involved. I just don't think everyone was alive in that equation.
It's true. There's two types of songs that I really like, and they're not super common themes for songs, and that's why I like them, because there is like really well-known standout tracks in each genre, but it's still such a small field. And that's songs about necrophilia and songs about having sex while doing meth.
Thank you, moral compass.
I'm just, you're the one who took us down this dark path.
Yes,
Don't worry, though, people. When we get to my recommendation, we're going to clean things up again. So, Kelly, tell us more about your Coke problem you're trying to kick.
So, it's not my Coke problem. It's Alice's Coke problem. And
sure, Alice, quote unquote, your friend Alice. Tell us about your friend's Coke problem.
Yes. So, but what I really like about Super Duper Alice Cooper, it runs about an hour and a half. It has in it Alice's mother, Shep Gordon, Bob Ezrin, Elton John, Johnny Lydon, Johnny Rotten, however you want to kind of refer to him, Iggy Pop, Dee Snider, and Bertie Taupin. And so it's done really, really well in terms of getting you kind of the facts on a number of things. That there have been kind of storylines out there, but you kind of the pieces really fit together much better, because what you kind of see, because for me the two big moments were about as the Alice Cooper group, original Alice Cooper group, became no more. A lot of times the shorthand version of that was the rest of the band thought Alice was getting too theatrical and they wanted to get back to just doing rock and roll. And that was kind of the shift where Alice says, no, I'm going to go, and then as Mike and I have recently talked about, Welcome to My Nightmare, which is major theatrical, was his first solo outing. So it kind of felt like that could be the case. But it was a little bit more just of everybody kind of wanting to do their own thing and have their own musical voice. And the band kind of at that point saying, hey, we're going to take a break from Alice Cooper Group to go out and do some stuff on our own. And it just so happened that Alice Cooper went out as Alice Cooper, and it kind of carried it on. And the solo careers of the other gentlemen did not exactly take off. So they provide a little more context. Dennis Dunaway is in this quite a bit. And it's fairly interesting to kind of see that he and Alice were the whole band connected in high school. He and Alice were actually quite close and interested in art. And so it's just some very interesting things that kind of go on around their dynamic and relationship there. So you get, it's not like a grumbly Dennis Dunaway. Neil Smith, the drummer, is also in it. He covers a little bit. Michael Bruce, the guitarist, was not, which I thought was an interesting omission. I don't know if he just didn't have an interest or whatever, but you really get kind of some really good background on that. And then what had always been puzzling to me was that the 80s for Alice, where, oh, he's not drinking anymore, and then, boy, he looks horrific. And what's going on here? And that's when Bernie Taupin introduces him to cocaine and then kind of goes, wow, this guy's taken to it a lot, and I need to get away from this. And so he caused the problem and ran away. And Alice spun out of control for a number of years on this and got very, very close to death. And you actually see Special Forces Alice back in this period of time is probably when he is pretty darn close to physically at his worst. And he did a Tom Snyder special around that time. You just see the interview, and this is not a healthy man at all. You can kind of tell. So you get a little bit more of the backstory, what happened during basically Flush It to Fashion, Special Forces, Zipper Catches Skin, and Dada, those albums where he went through, and then the process of the
ultimate quadrilogy for Alice Cooper fans.
The Coke era for Alice at that point in time. I actually, when we get to talk about those on album time, I still like a lot of those albums, but Zipper Catches Skin now makes a lot more sense to me, because I was just highly confused on what was going on here. But I go, oh, this was written by somebody who was just totally coked up. And I go, it makes perfect sense. So that was good there. But you get the story there. The documentary basically takes it all the way up to the release of Constrictor and the Nightmare Returns tour, which became the first time that Alice performed without the help of chemicals or alcohol, and wondering if he could pull off the Alice Cooper character without that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool to see that take off. You get a little bit about Kane Roberts. Now, how familiar are you with Kane Roberts? Mike?
Not particularly.
Yeah, Kane's a massive man. He's basically looks like a bodybuilder, but he was the one that kind of began to write with Alice at the Constrictor album, through the album that shall not be named, and but he became kind of a force for good for Alice during that period of time. But he's just massive. If you get a chance to see the Nightmare Returns live album, he's something else to kind of see. Also, very good guitarist, but I'm not really sure how he's able to get his arms down to play the guitar. But he's a good guy. So it was pretty cool to see. But if you're an Alice Cooper fan, this really kind of cleans up, explains, gets you a little more context on what went on through a couple of the key points, some of the struggles, and uplifting in terms of through bad choices of his own, got to a pretty bad place, but was able to kind of pull out of it. And had he not, we probably wouldn't be talking about Alice. So well done documentary. Very interesting. If you're an Alice Cooper fan, I think you'll absolutely enjoy it. And it particularly, I think, just shedding a little better light on what was going on in the 80s was the thing that I was pleasantly surprised to see them kind of unblinkingly address. So I'm recommending Super Duper Alice Cooper as my recommendation for this week.
It's an excellent recommendation, sir. And it's weird. I haven't seen this film yet. I'm a huge Alice fan, as you know. I'm a big documentary and particularly music-oriented documentary watcher in general. I'll even watch documentaries on artists I'm not that into because I still usually find something interesting on the music side of it. And I'm also a fan of the company that made this, Banger Films. They did a really excellent documentary called Metal, A Headbanger's Journey, that really covered an overview of the history of metal, but still managed to hit a lot of the important moments and subgenres in there. Particularly their parts they did about black metal weren't terrible, as black metal is usually represented. So it's weird that I haven't seen this yet. This is so high on my list of things that I have to watch.
You'll enjoy it. I think it'll be really good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Now, I'm going to make a prediction. Is that I believe you have been misleading the squatties, and that your recommendation that's about to come up here is going to be horrific.
No, sir. No. In fact, you actually, before we get into mine, I do want to ask one more follow-up question about your recommendation because it's so good. It deals with the Coke thing. Have you allegedly ever tried Coke before?
I have not.
Allegedly?
Not even allegedly.
No, if you say allegedly beforehand, it's okay.
No, I have. In none of its many different forms of distribution, I have not had the opportunity. Maybe that's not the way to rephrase it. No.
Okay, then. So
you're open to it.
Yeah, you're open to it. You just don't have cool friends.
Yeah. Well, that's look who I podcast with. Come on. I get it.
Touche, sir. So allegedly, are you attending Snarkstock this year?
Has a date been set?
No, I'm sure it's going to be June again, since that seems to be where we hit with these things. But it is Texas this year, so I'm hoping to go so that I can actually meet Mel face to face for the first time.
I'm going to make that a go, especially once we get a date on it. I think I can pull off a Texas trip around that time frame.
So allegedly, if let's just say a couple of members of a band called Pagan, we'll just make up names and call them Mike and Christian, were there.
Yes. And
they knew a guy who could get Coke. Would Kelly Toole try that just to, get the full Alice Cooper experience?
I'm gonna go no. I'm gonna kind of stick with probably not.
Wink.
But yeah, just officially for public consumption, I'm gonna go no.
Okay, wink. So anyway, yes, to my recommendation,
which is Coke. So
everybody do Coke. No. As the moral compass of this show, it's time for me to kind of clean this up, bring it back to the wholesome family dynamic you expect from Squat Cobbler. And in fact, my recommendation this week is something that was really inspired by my co-host Kelly Toole. I had to make sure you inspired, or at least say that you inspired this before I said it. So Kelly recommended a couple episodes back a fan film based around the Star Wars universe.
Yes, The Apprentice with Darth Maul.
Yes. So
and
that
not
got
Donald
me.
Trump.
No, not the Donald Trump version. The lesser known, just Darth Maul centric version. So that got me interested in checking out some like fan films and things like that. Now, Kelly is also on this show, and I believe on Nurture and Support as well, talked about cosplay.
Okay. I'm starting to get nervous, but go ahead. Yeah, that is true.
So I got more interested about cosplay and started looking up some stuff about cosplay, and then Kelly's Darth Maul recommendation had me looking up fan films. And did you know that there are cosplay oriented? Now, I'm going to make the distinction that these are more cosplay fan films as opposed to something that's a fan film on the level of Darth Maul Apprentice, just based on the distinction I'm making here for our listeners is, the budgetary restrictions. Like the Darth Maul film, while low budget, was very professionally produced, wouldn't you say?
I absolutely would.
So what I'm going to call cosplay films here is stuff that's definitely more fan and a little less professionally produced. So just to make that distinction for everybody, I'm not, saying one, it's not a critique on their intent or the quality of the final product. I'm just making that distinction on the style of production, one being a little bit more mainstream looking than the other. So Kelly, I know that you and I have discussed briefly before on when we were discussing foot fetishes. We did discuss the types of pornography, or you opted not to contribute to this, but we discussed the type of pornography that I choose to consume when I'm online.
Yes, and the Belinsky theorem of if it becomes a subgenre, a category, then you're okay.
Right. You can gauge how strange your particular proclivities are based on how much pornography is readily available on the larger adult websites like Pornhub and things like that. So, did you know that there's a large community of people producing pornographic videos that are cosplay oriented?
So yes, I am aware because of sometimes the magical titles that some of these, where they kind of do the pornification of The Force Awakens or Return of the Sith or something like that.
So wait, pornification might be the best word I've ever heard.
That would be, yeah. And also another good band name.
It definitely is. In fact, I'm going to steal that somehow and work it into something. Pornification is going to pop up on something now.
That sounds like the next pagan song.
It definitely could be. So based on Kelly Toole's recommendation, I'm going to recommend that people look up pornographic cosplay videos. And this is this is completely Kelly Toole inspired, I need to keep saying. Now, when I was perusing Pornhub, I came across videos from a particular production company who have their own subscription-based website as well, but you can watch clips and short videos that they've made of their fan fiction on Pornhub if you search Cosplay Babes. Kelly, I'm sure you're doing this right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, Mike. Go
on. Now, they have a number of talented and lovely young ladies in their stable of actresses that they pull from who dress up as characters, do cosplay style characters from different popular comic books and animated series and just different things that have become a part of our popular culture. And they act out scenes that you wouldn't typically see in the standard entries of those franchises. One in particular that I would like to recommend is Scooby Doo oriented.
Oh my God.
Now, again, normally I wouldn't get into detail like this, but since Kelly already basically guaranteed our explicit tag on this by talking about drugs, very bad of you, Kelly, I feel like he's opened up this door. And besides, he directly influenced my recommendation this week anyway. So now, Kelly, are you a Scooby Doo fan?
I'm really scared to respond to anything else on this show. But yes, I am.
That's good to know, Kelly. So I'm a huge Scooby Doo fan. In fact, when I was in college, we had to do a number of turn papers, and one of my turn papers was on the history, the creation, and the overall history of the Scooby Doo character and the way the franchise has developed and evolved over the years. So I'm a big Scooby Doo fan. As a Scooby Doo fan, straight male Scooby Doo fans tend to fall into one of two categories. You are either a Velma guy or a Daphne guy. Which one are you?
I'm a Daphne guy.
You're a Daphne guy. That's interesting because I'm definitely a Velma guy. One of the videos that Cosplay Babes has put together for our enjoyment has both of those characters in it. And what I love that they've done for the fans and really to bring people together is Velma and Daphne both star in it, acting out a scene together. And what I love about this is not only does it play into a franchise that I grew up on and really hold dearly, but like I sort of said, it really brings people together in a way that I haven't seen fan films do before. Because I feel like Velma guys and Daphne guys are almost like Democrats and Republicans in this country, where we're really on one side of the aisle or the other, and rarely do you see crossover. And I really have to thank Cosplay Babes for taking the initiative to try, especially in tumultuous times like this, to really put out a product that just brings people together. Don't you think that's a great thing, Kelly?
Sure it is. Absolutely. By the way, I want to make it like abundantly clear to you that there will be no video links in this blog post.
As I was thinking about this, I was like, is he going to link? Like, I didn't want to link specifically, nothing against them. I didn't want to specifically link to the Cosplay Babes site or to just some random like Pornhub page with a million videos on it. I was like, I have to recommend something really specific as an example of what I'm talking about. And what better than something we both enjoy like Scooby Doo, and something that I think brings people together after a year of just turmoil in this country. So Kelly, by not putting in this link, are you saying you don't want to see people come together?
Sure, we'll go with that.
You want to see this country remain divided?
Yeah, I'm still reeling from trying to figure out how I'm going to write this thing up, because I'm not so your recommendation is cosplay based porn. Is that
yes
fair?
It is.
Okay.
And where I'm suggesting, because there's so much, where I'm suggesting people start, since we both love Scooby Doo, and at least for me, I would love to see the damage that's been done by our adversarial political climate start to be repaired. I really recommend that people start with the Cosplay Babes video of Velma and Daphne, let's say, coming together and strengthening their unity as a team.
Is there a title for this particular piece of work?
So if you watch the official upload, I think it just says like Cosplay Babe Scooby Doo and lists the two actresses who perform in it. This video has been uploaded by users as well and is also available on a number of other sites. And I think some people have just shortened or streamlined the title as Scooby Doo Lesbian Cosplay. So either way, I'm sure you'll find it if you just type if you're just going off of keywords, throw out like Scooby Doo lesbian and cosplay in some form there, and I'm sure you'll come across it.
I'm sure Google will autofill that for me right away. It should be no problem. Yeah, so this will be an interesting blog post, to say the least.
Now here's the question.
I don't want any more questions.
You're done with questions. So I don't think we've actually said any like bad words in this episode. Did we earn our explicit tag?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, but we didn't actually use any bad language, and I don't intend on breaking that. I'm just curious.
So yeah, I think, let's put ourselves in the shoe of a parent who's got Junior by their side. Hey, we need you to listen to some more podcasts. Hey, Squat Cobbler sounds like it's fun and informative.
And Scooby Doo is one of the tags.
Scooby Doo is one of the tags. I think
music and Scooby Doo. That's what we recommended today.
Sorta. Yeah, I think I'll reflect, but I have a feeling we'll be dropping the old explicit tag on this one, just to be on the safe side.
I understand that, especially with your recommendation involving talk about cocaine.
That's right. All the pro coke talk that I did. that alone.
Well, as long as we've already earned our explicit tag, then let me ask you something else, Kelly.
Okay. Sure.
If you were going to go, which I assume you are, because obviously we do each other's recommendations, I assume you're going to go and watch some Scooby Doo lesbian cosplay of Velma and Daphne coming together and bringing this country together with them as they do. What would your next search in the cosplay pornography realm be? Like, what would you like to see? Because we kind of touched a little bit on like sexting with comic book characters.
Yes.
Again, another recommendation of yours.
Again, I'll ask the listeners to go back, find it. The facts are being somewhat misrepresented here, but
that's how I remember it. So,
yes.
Since we kind of already got into sexting and now we're talking about cosplay pornography, what after you do this Scooby Doo Velma and Daphne video, what's your next cosplay pornography search, hypothetically?
So hypothetically. So I could give the boring answer, which was to go with my response to your sexting question, which was Batgirl, because I still think Batgirl's quite attractive. I wouldn't be opposed to kind of going into the Game of Thrones world. That might be
interesting. That's a really interesting response. I thought you were going to go comic book.
Yeah, no, I think from a cosplay standpoint, Game of Thrones would be. Might be that hypothetical next search.
Interesting. So a hypothetical next search that I would throw in there, again, start with Scooby Doo. That's the official tag. My recommendation is cosplay porn in general, but I would start with Scooby Doo. There is a young lady who does numerous videos for Cosplay Babes who is an excellent thespian, and her portrayal of some of the DC characters, particularly Poison Ivy, is excellent.
So the one thing I've got here, since I have the opportunity to edit the podcast before they go out, is that I do think we've got a little bump at the end of Squat Cobbler that right now is Mike going and me mentioning my love of Monster Dog songs. I think I'm going to revise that to eventually say, take Mike's little clip of, I'm recommending porn cosplay in general. It's kind of a nice little capper for that. But so DC over Marvel.
Well, I'm a DC guy, so I really haven't searched that deeply into the Marvel cosplay porn. It's not that I won't. It's that for me personally, I'm more of a DC storyline guy. I like the DC characters overall better. And I do happen to think some of the DC, especially the Rogues Gallery female characters, are a little bit more attractive than some of the Marvel characters. I'm not trying to judge, but for my own personal tastes, I would take some of the DC ladies first if I had choice. You?
So what's the question here?
Are you, as far as, do you find the DC or Marvel lady characters more attractive?
Yeah, I'd say you're probably right there. I'd say that the DC ladies are probably a little more attractive in general.
And that's not to take anything away from the ladies on the Marvel side. It's just that for my personal taste, just like I'm more of a Thelma guy, you're more of a Daphne guy. And I like, again, because I feel like this proves my point. We're creating a bridge here because Thelma and Daphne appear together in this and are really working together towards a common goal.
That's exactly what you're doing and recommending, Mike. I just don't know how I could possibly argue. Maybe the inauguration they'll do a little live skit or something. Help pull us all together.
So Kelly, are you going to check out some of these videos?
I think I'm going to have to do a search to find out what the how large the Scooby Doo catalog is.
So, and just to throw this out at you, I've specifically mentioned Cosplay Babes because I think some of their videos are a little bit better produced than some of the other ones, and that's their focus, obviously, as you can tell from the name of their production company. But there is a ton of cosplay-based porn out there, and there's a lot of Scooby Doo porn in general that I didn't know existed until the last couple weeks when I very thoroughly and vigorously researched this topic.
Well, that's about the last thing I thought I'd hear this week. So
typically I don't do a lot of research for these things.
That's right.
Other than the Alice. Yeah, you may be shocked to learn the Alice albums are the things that I do the most research on typically because I've already listened to all these albums, but I listen to them again so that the song is a little bit more fresh. But I really did a lot of research into this one just to show you guys how much I care.
Hey, I think we're going to move on to social media.
You're going to close this one up? Call it done?
We're going to close this one up. got a lot of things to think about.
A lot of creative editing to start ruminating.
And it was weird that this episode Mike represented go back and watch the original Scooby Doo series. And he wants America to come together. We could totally create that version of this podcast.
You know what? You could put up, you should, or maybe we could do this as some sort of bonus content. You could make a clean version of the recommendation by cutting out all the porn talk and just make it about Scooby Doo.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a very good idea.
Not as the main one. Not as the released one, but as like bonus content. So a great thing for bonus content, as we've discussed, and I don't think we've told our listeners, would be the uncensored version of our talk with Christian, which was Squat Cobbler #1. Maybe a cool counterpart to that would be the censored version of my cosplay porn recommendation.
Yeah, I think those would be two very diverse offerings there. That would be good. Okay.
So, all right. So here's the thing. So I haven't used any bad language in this episode. Am I going to get a little caveat at the beginning, a little Kelly Tool disclaimer like Christian got?
Because there were a couple sections where I bleeped out, or I said somebody doing something with something over Christian's description. And so I gave people the heads up that I was going to do that. No, I don't. I don't know. I'm tempted. I'm tempted to introduce some sort of type of thing, but I think maybe I'll just. There has been one Squat Cobbler where I had to put, hey, by the way, folks, this one's kind of explicit, like extra explicit, and I might want to provide a warning, but I don't know. I don't think at this point I'm going to be recording a special Kelly Tool disclaimer for this.
I'm just proud of myself that I got through my entire recommendation without using any objectionable language.
You should be proud of your porn cosplay recommendation that was delivered without vulgarity.
I am. And I presented it the way, of course, that I see it, because why else would I be watching this video over and over again? I really feel like these two fine young ladies are trying to build a bridge. It's a troubled, fractured time for this country. And anything we can do to let us come together is something that I can fully support. And I believe Kelly can as well. Kelly, will you get behind me on this one?
So poor terminology to use, given your recommendation.
Totally carefully chosen.
Not surprised. I'm going to move on social media recommendations.
You keep trying.
Keep trying hard. Although, it's just like taking one step and not hit a landmine, and then you take the next. And so, Mike, do you have a social media recommendation for this week?
Yes, I do. And I'm going to do something that I know we've never done on this before. I'm going to recommend something that's related to me for the social media recommendation.
I thought you were going to say you're going to exercise judgment. So.
Kelly, I'm already the moral compass of this show. You came on with a recommendation that basically more or less was, hey kids, go out and do coke.
Want to be cool like Alice Cooper, do coke. Yep.
See, exactly there you go. I am so sampling that in something because I don't even have to change anything. You just said that. So you basically came out with that. I cleaned things up, brought us back to the family fun that everyone comes to expect. So I am going to do a little bit of a change of pace though and recommend something that's slightly vaguely related to me. There is a spin-off movie of Faces of Snuff that is being made called Murder Challenge that I am directing, and our friend Vex is starring in along with Shane Ryan, who put Faces of Snuff together and has appeared on our specials before. The IMDb page for that went up this week, and IMDb premiered the first teaser poster for it this week. So I would like everybody to just go out and check out the teaser poster and let us know what you think about it.
Is there a social media account that runs with it? You got a Twitter account that's tweeting out about this? Or?
So it's actually everyone's individual social media account, because when you go on IMDb, you can share the poster. There's helpful buttons to share the poster out on your social media.
So your social media recommendation is use your social media to go promote.
To promote me, yes.
You must be so proud of your contributions. I can't top that. So I think we're just going to let it.
I was looking forward to yours too. You kind of gave a little bit of a build up.
Yeah, I gave a build up, but nope, you've lost the privilege. And so we'll just have to see if you earn it back next Squat Cobbler. But if there is another next Squat Cobbler, Don't shut us down. So that's what happens when you do 20 of these. Mike and I will be back in a couple weeks talking more Alice Cooper albums, and I can hardly wait for the next one. So this is a slightly shell-shocked Kelly Toole saying, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. And there's a lot of Scooby Doo porn in general that I didn't know existed until the last couple weeks.
You must be so proud.
I'm just proud of myself that I got through my entire recommendation without using any objectionable language.
Okay. I want to be cool like Alice Cooper do coke.